Now let's talk about the data structures in Python. Okay, so the first one is the list, and let's talk about little bit about the list. List is nothing. List is completely similar to your array in any other programming language. Okay, in any other programming language, whatever is your array, it is the list in Python. But it is very, very efficient, and you are going to use it very much whenever you are doing your scripting, whenever you are doing your developments in Python. Now, here, list is basically a sequence of any particular number, any particular string, or you can say any kind of a variable you can store not any kind, I'll say any different data type of a variable you can store in your list. If you see, it is not that you have to store the same type of value. You can store any kind of a value in the list. It is enclosed within the square brackets and works like similar like array in your any other programming language. List is mutable. There is a concept of mutable and immutability in Python. And mutable means that if you can change any value, immutability means or immutable means you cannot change any values. So for list, you can change the values. There are certain things for which you cannot change the value, which we will discuss again in few minutes. So this is how we define the list by putting it in the square bracket. The first element of the list, that is 1, will be at the index position 0. Second element will be at 1. Then will be at 2. So this is how the index elements go. To calculate the length of a list, you will use len function. The one which you are using first to calculate the length of string. Same function you will be using to calculate the length of the list. So list indexing, if you talk about, my list of 0 will give you 1. My list of 1 will give you 2. My list of 2 will give you 3. That is how your indexing works in the list. Now, this is quite basic things which we already saw in string, the indexing and the slicing part. Let's talk about something more in list. If I want to add any particular element in the list, in that case, what I am going to do? So to add any particular element in the list, I can use it by this way. I can use it by this way by using the concatenate operation. And I can say my list plus at the list of the new item. It will add the item at the end of the list. Okay, this will add the item at the end of the list. But if you see, I have not reassigned this item to anywhere else. Okay, I just written as my list plus new item. So what it is going to do, that it is basically like it will be assigned temporarily. Like if you again print my list, you will not get anything. Okay, if you again print my list, you will not get anything. Okay, so to do that, what you have to do, you have to reassign it to either to a new list or to the same list or anything, so that that particular item will be added. Okay, to double the list, you can like just do the double, like multiply it and do these things. But let's talk about few of the list methods. So the one way which I talked about the concatenation was via the plus operator. But there is a method known as append. If you use that method list1.append, it will add the list to the end of the add that particular element at the end of the list. Okay, like see append me you have used, it will add it at the end of the list. There is a pop method which will remove the element. Pop follows the last in first out structure, means it will by default it will take the last index first. If you, unless you have not specified any index value, so it will take the last index value first. Okay, you see here I have list1.pop 0, so it has popped out deleted the first element. But if I do like I have 4 elements in a list, and if I try to access the list of element of at 100 position, it will give me an error as index out of range. Okay, it will give me an error as index out of range. To reverse a list, there is a method known as reverse. To sort it, it is known as sort. By default, it sorts in ascending order. You can combine 2-3 lists together and that will form a matrix for you, and then you can access the elements from there. Okay. This is about the list. I'll talk about list comprehensions in a few seconds. Okay, let's talk about few of the other methods of list. Append, we saw that it is basically useful to add the element at the last uh, at a last position in the list. To count to check that how many times a particular value has been occurred, you use count. Now, append is basically it is adding at the end. But if you want to extend the list, okay, so extend what it do. See, append is basically here. Sorry, this extend what it do that it extends the list. No, sorry, that was wrong, guys. One thing here to notice. Append is what it do that it basically adds it as a list. Okay, if you have to add multiple values, to a list, in that case you will not using append, you will use extend, because extend will add it to the list. But because otherwise what it will do, it will add it as a list only if you are using append. So extend will be adding it to this, and in this index will basically like whatever the index number you will put, it will return the value whatever is that at that particular index. Now if you want to insert a value in between, so you will use insert method. Okay, you will define two arguments in that. One is the position at which you want to insert and the value which you want to insert. Okay, these will act as a insert. So these things comes with the practice. Okay, don't panic that how I will learn all these methods and these things. As and when you guys will be using the programming, as and when you will be practicing, you will get all these functions memorized. And in fact, in IDs and all, if you just do list and dot I, if you type, it will automatically tell you that insert whatever the methods, it will display all those. Pop we already discussed. Remove will remove the first occurrence of a value. Okay, whatever the first occurrence of a value will be there. Let's say you have a duplicate value in the list. So whatever the first occurrence of a value is there, it will remove that. Reverse sort we discussed. Then let's talk about tuples. Now, tuples work exactly similar to list, but they are immutable. Tuples work exactly similar to the list, but they are immutable. Means you can insert the value in the list, you can remove the value in the list, you can have duplicate values in the list, but into tuples also you can have duplicate values, but you cannot insert or you cannot remove anything from the tuple. The size of tuple will always be fixed. This is the only one difference between list and tuples. List is mutable and tuple is immutable. Sometimes in interviews, people ask, can you tell me any data structure which is immutable, and can you prove that? So you can prove that by trying to insert or trying to add. It will throw you an error. Tuples are defined in the parenthesis. Okay, and it can again contain any type of a value. Doesn't matter that it should be a same type value. It can contain any type of a value, and tuples are defined in the parenthesis. Length is used to calculate the length. Indexings are the same structure. If you use index method, you can use this. Although it has a less methods only, because there is no addition and insertion. So all those methods has been born in this, and rest will be there. Let's see that here I am trying to insert any value at a particular position. It gives me an error that tuple does not support item assignment. And you can convert tuple to list. How? Just typing list of t, it will convert the tuple into list. And similarly, if you do tuple of any list, it will convert into. Let's see few of the advanced methods of tuple. Let's talk about the dictionaries in Python. What are the dictionaries in Python? Now, dictionary is what? See, to give a basic understanding, every one of you would have worked with JSON or not. What is JSON? It is basically a key value pair format. Okay, you will have key and you will have value. And everyone, like in your childhood or like nowadays, people are more using Google. But now earlier you would have used dictionary, any like Oxford dictionary, anything you would have used. In that dictionary, what happened? There will be always a unique word. Okay, there won't be any duplicate word, but the value can be different for any of the value can be same for any of the word. Okay, means what does it mean? That your keys which are there, the words are what? Your keys, and the meaning of those words are what? Your values. So in a dictionary, your keys will always be unique, but your values can be duplicated. Your keys cannot be duplicated, but your values can be duplicated. How you define dictionary? You put the curly braces and you define one key value pair, then another key value pair. So you define a key and you define a value. So dictionaries will always be associated with a key and a value. A pair of key and value will always be associated with the dictionary. Okay. If you want to access a particular key, you have to pass in this like this in a characterized by square brackets, enclosed within the square brackets, the key, and it will give you value. If you pass it here key 2, it will give you the value 2. Okay. So again, list keys, dictionaries can hold any type of a data. Now these values of these keys can be lists, can be tuples, can be of any data type you want to do, and you can access it again in the similar fashion as I showed you that when we had the list with the 4 and 5 list of list, and from there I used 3 of 0. So here also key of 3 will give me item 0, item 1, item 2, and if I want to access this particular value, so I will use 0 index. If you put inside list also, if you put tuples, that can also be possible. There are certain scenarios where you see that 1, 2, and then you can put 3, 4. So that is known as the list of tuples. Now you can perform any operation that all like with when you got a value of a particular thing. So now with that value, you can do whatever operations you wanna do. To create any empty list, you will do like this. To create any empty tuple, you will do like this. To create any empty dictionary, you will do like that. And now if you have to insert any value, what you will do, you will assign the value like of the key, and then you will put the value whatever you want to put with that. Okay. And so similarly, here you see that I have put this, and it will create a dictionary for me. Now this is something like a JSON where you have a nested, or you can call it as a nested dictionaries. For this key, this is my value. Okay. For this key, this is my value. And for this key, this is my value. Means after colon, whatever is there, that is my value for the above one. If I have to access this value, I have to walk through this path. Okay. I have to walk through this dictionary by first this key, which will give me this value. Now for this value, I have this is other key. So I'll go to this key and then to this key, which will give me the value. Now there are three important methods in dictionaries. One is keys, one is values, and other one is items. Keys will give you all the keys which are there in this. Values will give you all the values, and items will give you all the both the key and value associated together. But the problem is that the data type of these keys, values, and item is dict underscore keys, dict underscore values, and dict underscore items. Let's see whether I am saying correct or not. So this is this. Now if I have to access this, value, these values, how can I do that? I can convert them into lists. And now I can access and perform any operation from these. Okay, let's talk about the last data structure, that is sets. Okay, now you might think that, oh my god, so many things are there, but the differences are very, very clear. List, mutable, enclosement, square bracket, tuple, immutable, enclosed in parentheses, dictionary, key value pair, enclosed in curly braces. Sets are an unordered collection of unique elements, means set will not contain any duplicate value. I repeat my statement, set will not contain any duplicate value. That is the characteristics of the set. So if you have to store only the unique elements, you can use set. Okay. And this is how we create an empty set. You can add the values. It will be in curly braces only, enclosed within the curly braces. But does not mean that it is a dictionary, because dictionaries are associated with the key value pair. Whereas sets are not associated with any of that. You will have only the values. So you can add the elements using the add method in set. You can convert a duplicate list into the set. Or if you have a question where you want to have a duplicate elements inside a list and you want to get only a unique elements, you can use it, the type conversion as a set, and you can pass your list. It will give you the duplicate. It will give you only the unique elements. This is a very basic question. Even I myself, when I take some interviews for Python and these stuffs, and if I ask even from experienced people, they start writing for loop and start doing a lot of other grammars, but they forget a small, very small thing that you can do this in one line in Python. Whereas this is one of the favorite questions of interviewers. They ask when you go with the when you go for the interviews, and when they just want to check your basics, that how can you convert a duplicate list which has a duplicate value, and I want to get only the unique elements inside it. So this is about the set. Let's talk about a few of little bit about the advanced. So add is basically to add the elements. Clear will remove all the elements from the set. You can use copy to copy the set of one set to another set. You can use difference to find out the element which is not present in either of the sets. Okay. Here you see S has 1, 2, 3. S has 1, 2, 3. SC has 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing the difference between S dot difference SC. So only the 4 was the element which was the difference. So it will print that. Difference update will, what it does, difference update, what does it do is that it will return the value of whatever the value which is not common between the two sets, but only from set 1. Means set 1 has 1, 2, 3, set 2 has 1, 4, 5. The common value between this is 1, so it will remove this and it will print the entire set 1 results. Okay, it will print the entire set 1 results. These functions like we don't use too much, but like when we do real programming and all this. So, but it is for knowledge purpose, it is important to know. Discard will remove the element from a particular index, whichever you define it here. Intersection will give you the unique elements. Intersection update will update, like basically it will do the intersection of the entire set only. Like if you are doing here, my S1 has 1, 2. Okay. So it will do the intersection with itself. Okay. Intersection update will do the intersection with itself. That is 1, 2 only. This disjoint we don't use, but disjoint is basically useful when you want to check if the two sets have a null intersection or not, and it gives you a value in the boolean that is true or false. Similarly, subset is used to find out whether a particular set is contained inside that set or not. There are lot of different methods. You can use those methods and these steps. Okay. So we talked about the data types. We talked about the keywords, variables, and operators, conditional statements, loop, and data structures.